Hi there, this is Dr. Maria Helt, herbalist and microbiologist here with Basmati.com and Osada Natural Health. And that's Milo in the background, who likes to be in my videos. Anyway, this week I'm going to talk about nutmeg, which many people will be more familiar with as a great spice. Now I realize it's no longer fall, so we're out of the pumpkin spice craze. So I'm a little late on this, but hey, who wants to follow the trends? So nutmeg is famous as pumpkin spice. It's maybe best known as a seasoning on things like eggnog. And there's Milo walking around. He always likes to steal the show. Shake off. Anyway, so a lot of spices and seasonings have, now he's going to bury himself under my sweatshirt. This is his trend now. When I make a video, he decides to do something really silly in the background. Okay, back to nutmeg. Focus, focus. A lot of spices and seasonings have traditionally been used for digestive issues, and science is starting to back these up. Nutmeg is no exception. It is used for things like gas and bloating and spasm and cramping, malabsorption of nutrients and such. So it can be a great digestive remedy. You don't want to necessarily overdo it on your food because even though it's a pleasant flavor, it can be overpowering. A place I actually like to use nutmeg in cooking is in curry, and so I like to use just a little bit to sweeten and to spice up that curry. So nutmeg is actually a seed. I'm out of my seed forms of nutmeg, but I've got a little bit of the powder left. And it's a seed that comes from quite a large evergreen tree, actually, from various places in the world. It's now cultivated in the Caribbean. It's grown in Indonesia and in other parts of kind of Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka and such. And so it is the seed. And then if you're familiar with the spice mace, which is reddish in color, mace is a coating on the outside of the seed. And so this plant, Myristica fragrans, which is the name of the tree, produces two different spices. And actually in Ayurvedic medicine out of India, both the nutmeg and the mace are often used together, but today I'm just talking about nutmeg by itself. And so, again, commonly used to support healthy digestive function and such. Now, nutmeg is also sedating, and so it has an effect on the nervous system, and in my experience, it can have a fairly strong effect. And so a lot of herbalists will use freshly ground nutmeg. So if you are going to use nutmeg as medicine, you want to get the nutmegs whole and grind them fresh rather than buy nutmeg powder from the grocery store, which may not be as strong. But anyway, this is strong medicine. And so just a little bit of powdered nutmeg taken before bed, actually quite a bit before bed, can actually be helpful for some people for sleep. You don't need much, and in fact, you would start really low, maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon or so, and slowly work your way up, and it may help you to sleep. You want to take it before bed, maybe an hour or two before you're ready to finally conk out. And just be aware that if it's going to work for you, it will keep you down for a good 8 hours. And so you don't want to take nutmeg at midnight if you've got a meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning. So if it works for you, it can be a pretty strong sleep aid. But again, don't overdose. And I would actually say, I don't know a lot about its chemistry and the essential oils that are a big part of the medicine, and specifically with respect to which brain receptors they're affecting. I'm sure that's been studied, I just haven't looked into it. But my point is you want to be careful, and maybe you don't even want to combine it with sleep meds. So be careful combining it with any kind of sedative, tranquilizing, or anti-anxiety medication. I just don't know enough about the chemistry to be able to say that it's safe, and you may actually wind up with unwanted additive sedative effects. And so pay attention there. Now, nutmeg also has an impact on the cardiovascular system. It can actually bring down blood pressure and slow heart rate. So again, if you're being treated with blood pressure medications and such, a little bit of nutmeg on your pumpkin latte is probably fine, but you maybe want to be careful doing medicinal doses or see a practitioner, talk to a pharmacist, what have you, before you combine that. And, these are real warnings. I actually know a fellow who, instead of taking a really low dose of nutmeg powder, the upper dose range for a large adult, could be a teaspoon or maybe a little bit more before bed, he decided to take a tablespoon or maybe even 2 tablespoons of nutmeg powder before bed, and he had some problems. He actually passed out. His blood pressure and his pulse rate dropped when he did this. And so I like to use this fellow as a warning to be careful with nutmeg. It might be a familiar spice in your cabinet, so you think, oh, it's perfectly safe, but it can be very strong. And, if you're lucky and you take something that reduces your pulse rate, you maybe just get dizzy, and hopefully you don't fall and bop your head on something. So go slowly with nutmeg. It can be really helpful for sleep and such, and tension and anxiety and such. But start at a very, very low dose of the powder and work your way up if you're going to play with it. And as I've already said, be really careful combining it with prescription drugs, especially those that are sedating or those that reduce blood pressure. But no worries in cooking with it, and just get to know it a little bit before upping your dose. And until next time, good health.